What are some disturbing facts about the ocean? I tell new scuba divers this: the ocean doesn't care about you. It's not actively trying to kill you, but it will do a lot of things on its own that will absolutely kill you if you're not prepared and paying attention. I realize this could apply to any natural environment, but it feels much more apt when talking about the ocean. One wave that you weren't prepared for can make your day pretty bad. For the ocean, it's just business as usual. There are more planes in the ocean than submarines in the sky. The ocean is blue because all the other pigments are absorbed, so after a certain distance down everything becomes a monotone blue color, unless you have some other light source. The freaky part is, if a diver gets cut underwater, the blood looks black, like ink, or the red has long since been absorbed, so there's no wavelengths left to show you a red color when you bleed. Only 1% of its floor has been explored. It's pretty common knowledge by now, but most people don't understand how absolutely insane it really is. We know more about the surface of Mars than we do our ocean's floor. The oceans are being overfished and polluted at such a high rate that we very well may see a collapse of the ecosystem in a couple decades. The sonar we use for deep sea mapping really screws up a number of species, especially whales, dolphins and porpoises. Imagine walking around and a tornado alarm decibel level noise triggers right next to you. We do that every time we use that high-powered sonar, and it basically f's up their own sonar abilities, causing them to be unable to communicate and navigate. These sounds are now believed to be the strongest reason for the increase in the bleaching of ocean mammals. Whales, dolphins, etc. are desperately searching for a way to evade these noises. They swim to the more shallow depths in hopes of peace, only to become trapped. So sad. Most of the plastic pollution in the ocean is not from straws, shopping bags, or consumer items as most of us were led to believe. It's from fishing nets and fishing gear. Watched a documentary. What did they find at the deepest part of the known ocean? Deeper than even the Mariana Trench. A plastic bag. We humans suck. There are perfectly preserved shipwrecks from ancient Greece preserved at the bottom of the Black Sea. The water is so deep that it becomes anoxic, oxygen-free, which preserves organic materials like wood. Shipwrecks are cool, but I find the phenomenon a little disturbing, since there is probably no life down there. Ocean acidification. Increasing concentrations of atmospheric carbon dioxide lead to higher concentrations of dissolved CO2 in surface seawater. This results in ocean acidification, which may affect the growth of the photosynthetic phytoplankton that form the basis of marine food webs. So, total marine ecosystem collapse due to greenhouse emissions. The ocean produces more than half of the oxygen on Earth, so that doesn't bode well for us. When sea creatures die in the ocean and their bones sink to the deep ocean floor, zombie worms eat the bones. The skin secretes an acid dissolving the bones, digesting the remaining fat and protein left behind. The fact that scientists think we have discovered more of outer space than we have of the oceans just scares me, considering we don't even know how big our universe is. It's well known, but I feel like people just disregard how much stuff we've lost in the ocean. Like important pieces of history, military ships, planes, people, and it's not just recent history, like we still are finding ancient ships and mechanical things, skeletal remains and so on. That and all the statues and cities and things we've found sunk is incredibly terrifying because we just didn't know they were there, like not including the things we haven't explored in the ocean that's native to the ocean. We have so much stuff to find in there, like we still technically don't know what happened to Amelia Earhart. We think we found what might have been her remains on an island, but we don't know if that was her or not, and where's her plane. Not to mention that, while we have no clue how common it is people dump bodies in the ocean, like, the ocean is a massive graveyard for bodies, vehicles and history. There are parts of the ocean which are dead, no oxygen in the water, which means nothing can survive. No fish, no plankton, nothing at all. They are spreading exponentially, whilst they are tiny now, and have been, at the rate of growth. They'll cause serious problems before the end of the century. My time to shine. Just don't expect me to have all the facts. I'm on more of a fun fact level of knowledge, and I'm not an expert in this field. So, crabs, YTF do Abrahamic religions and many cultures ban eating them? Why did people in the past find something so delicious to be deplorable? Well, it's likely that they based this on their own experiences, because way back in the day eating crabs was deplorable. In the past, crabs were harvested from shallow waters. People who died at sea, people who were killed on the shore, people who drowned just swimming and fishing. All of these people were food for the scavengers of the sea, and some of these people had early advanced stages of prions diseases. Prions are deformed proteins that are very tough to destroy. They typically survive not only digestion, but multiple creature life cycles. Think of it like microplastics. If a crab eats prions, a fish eats the crab, and a human eats the fish, it all gets transferred to the human. Typically, prions do not cross the species barriers. A notable prions disease that does cross many species barriers is rabies. To put it very oversimplified, mammals have saliva. Mad cow's disease is a prions disease, where a protein of that saliva is now a deformed protein that causes serious issues with your body. And if a infected creature gets those proteins, then their body will likely put it where it belongs, and that causes it to hijack, and the newly infected creature starts making prions. Back on track here. Most prions diseases aren't nearly as bad as rabies, but many people develop prions in their lives. But it typically doesn't get bad enough in one lifetime to cause issues. But if a mild prion infected person is indirectly consumed by a younger person, well, that might develop quickly enough to cause serious complications. And if that person is buried at sea, it starts to escalate from there. So many humans thousands of years ago equated eating some shellfish to the most drastic complications caused by cannibalism. Because oftentimes it was indirect cannibalism, it became a rumor that eating shellfish could cause audio/visual hallucinations, muscle deformation, anemia, and other long-term issues that they did not fully understand. Eventually, many cultures independently realized that it just wasn't worth it to eat some animals, and it became taboo to eat shellfish. So next time you eat seafood, just remember, there is a non-zero chance that you are cannibalizing biological mistakes that may develop into a crippling physical or mental disability. You're welcome. Sweet dreams, fellow humans. The Gulf Stream is created by the melting of ice from the North Polar ice cap. That ice cap is rapidly disintegrating. Once it's gone, the Gulf Stream is gone. Once the Gulf Stream is gone, the weather pattern for the whole northern hemisphere dramatically changes. This will be catastrophic. Every continental shelf has the potential to hold sites of mass graves or once populated villages, towns, and even cities. Pre-Younger Dryas, the Atlantic Ocean was mostly islands, according to Egyptian accounts of their prehistory. Then, due to a comet passing too closely to Earth, the ice age that had dominated huge sections of the globe was thawed insanely quickly. It caused the tectonic plates that join mid-Atlantic to buckle and deform, leaving what had been above water below water. This is the most likely place the story of Atlantis comes from. A mid-Atlantic maritime culture, based on what is now the Azores archipelago, but would have been many hundreds of islands given a lower sea level. Note, this is simply theory based off some old story. However, we can see evidence of this level of rapid sea level rise in other places less affected by this upheaval of tectonic plates, like for example off the Isle of Wight in the UK, where it is estimated between 8000 6000 BC the global sea level rose to cover the only recently discovered Stone Age settlements that lay under the English Channel. It leaves the daunting question unanswered: how many other settlements and civilizations once called what is now the ocean floor home? We know less about the depths of our ocean than we know about our solar system. Also, somewhere down there are living things capable of crushing an U-boat like a tin can. Happened during a deep sea exploration mission where they lowered a robotic U-boat down to IDK how many kilometers, when they suddenly felt an immense force pulling at the U-boat, nearly breaking the crane Knight was lowered with. When they pulled it up, it was severely deformed and had giant bite marks. To this day, nobody knows exactly what attacked the U-boat. This story is corroborated by the survivors. During one of the world wars, a ship was sunk, and 11 survivors clung to a lifeboat until one of them was dragged down into the abyss by a cephalopod. If he wasn't killed by the animal's beak, he would have died a horrific pressure death, while the cephalopod probably rapidly descended with its life prey. It's not possible to say which species this cephalopod belonged to, but the giant squid and colossal squid are the largest and heaviest known so far, and some scientists speculate there might lurk an even more massive species of cephalopods deep down in the ocean. And whenever you sail by boat and look down into the deep blue darkness of the ocean, remember that the probability will never be 0 to be suddenly grabbed by one and dragged down into the total darkness, dying a horrible, horrible death.